It seems to me there are only two ways I know of to resolve our differences as human beings. There's reason and there's force. I don't know of any other way. The American founders established an empire of reason and democracy. Freedom of speech is the beating heart of democracy. In fact, the sole purpose of this building and the others like it in this complex is solely to talk out our differences and resolve them. It seems to me there's only one way to separate truth from lies or wisdom from folly, and that's to expose one to the other and then trust the people to sort out the difference. That's our entire form of government is based on that. Speech can be ugly, it can be disgusting, hateful, prejudiced, alarming, but it can never be dangerous to a free society as long as men and women of goodwill have the freedom to dispute it, to challenge it, and to reject it. I've never been comfortable with this concept of hate speech simply because it's always seemed to be a very short step between banning hate speech and banning speech we hate. Mr. Marcus, this chant from the river to the sea, that clearly calls for the eradication of Israel. It is genocidal at its roots. The House just censured a member for repeating it. And let me say, it is absolutely despicable. But should that be banned or punished, the mere repetition of that phrase?
So thank you, Congressman. I'll just begin by saying again that most hate speech is protected speech under our Constitution, but context matters. Are we talking about public institutions or non-public institutions? Are we talking about public fora or non-public fora? But I will also say again that where one finds hate speech, one often, almost invariably, finds hateful conduct.
Well, there's a very bright line between speech and conduct. Speech we tolerate because it can be combated by appealing to the better angels of our nature, by exposing the nature of evil that is behind it. That's how we resolve our differences without resorting to force. Now, my point is this: we have this chant that calls for the eradication of Israel, and we punish people for using it. Well, I happen to believe in the eradication of Hamas. I'm not making a moral equivalency. There couldn't be a stronger contrast between good and evil than that. But the same freedom of speech that protects my right to advocate that position is at stake here, is it not?
So I also very strongly support free speech, even freedom of speech to say things that we hate. I believe that the Trump executive order on combating anti-Semitism does something important, which is to say, it indicates that in many other areas of the law, we can use speech not as something to punish or suppress, but as an indicator of the nature of conduct. So that, for example, if you say certain things and then throw a rock through the window of the Hillel building, your statement may be used to determine whether that conduct was intentional, whether you intended to hit the building or not, and whether it was motivated in a way that implicates either student conduct codes or other rules of behavior. I believe it is important for rules, whether within universities or within the Federal Department of Education, to use conduct in this way. That is to say, speech must be protected, but it is sometimes a way of understanding conduct, which often crosses the line.
Well, yes, but then you're talking about the conduct and the influence of speech on it, but the issue is the conduct, not the speech. What measures, let me ask the students, what measures would you propose to protect your rights to free speech on the campuses?
Ultimately, I would just ask for less pushback from the university. I mean, as long as we can more equally represent all perspectives, I think it would be much easier, much more conducive to do so for other students.
There is a word for that. It's called tolerance.
Correct, yes, and it would be much less of a step up to speak your mind when you know that violence is not coming your way for doing so. Now it is so polarized. I just wish if we could step that back or increase speech, allow others to not face such consequence when doing so. That would that would promote it.
Ms. Jordan?
Yeah, so I support what Connor said, and I think really instilling within the campus community that, we need to be more tolerant of others' beliefs, whether we agree with them or not. Like, my school does a free speech training, but, people will just click through that just to get it over with. They're not actually being taught to respect people just because of their beliefs. Like, that's just what we're asking for, to be respected. We aren't asking to be doxxed. We aren't asking to be violently assaulted or harassed or anything like that. We are simply sharing our viewpoint, and we respectfully listen to other students and faculty's viewpoints, but they won't do the same to us.
Similar to Mr. Marcus's comments, conduct often follows words. We saw at Cornell after chants of Free Palestine from the river to the sea, which calls for the genocide of the Jewish people and the eradication of the state of Israel, that soon following that, a student posted direct threats to murder Jews on campus. Those are very interrelated, and they
So are
cannot
you
be
saying the
separated.
conduct should be banned or the speech should be banned or both?
Speech advocating for violence should not be tolerated on a college campus.
Well, but what about the eradication of Hamas?
The eradication of Hamas is the eradication of a recognized terror organization.
Well, so it depends upon your viewpoint. Is that what you're saying?
When students who are protesting the Jewish people's right to exist, their fellow students' right to exist, leads directly to violence against those students.
Who's going to decide, though, which viewpoint is legal and which one is illegal? That's what concerns me. In a free society, we put all those viewpoints out there and let the people make that judgment for themselves.
In the context of a college campus, it is the school has a right, and the school is obligated to protect all of its students from violence, and students should all feel safe on their campus. I know that Cornell is implementing additional DE&I training that now addresses anti-Semitism that all students will be required to complete so that all students feel safe. And there should be similar DE&I training to prevent Islamophobia on campus as well. When talking about college campuses, the main priority is ensuring that students feel safe and that they can freely express their opinions without feeling harmed or that harm is coming their way.